Are you the CEO of your life in biz? I'm Emily Alderson, and I'm on a mission to elevate the beauty industry one success story at a time. If knowledge is power and seeing is believing, imagine what could happen if you expanded your mind to the possibilities. What kind of shift could you make happen? This is Stories with Stylists. Hello and welcome to the Cosmo CEO, the podcast. I'm very excited. I always say that, but to have my dear friend Susan Williams with us. We actually went to cosmetology school together. It's just very exciting to have her on. She is a ray of sunshine, I must say. She really lights her room and loves her life to the fullest, and that includes her job and her family. And so I'm really excited to talk to her about her journey in the industry. So hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you, Emily.
Tell us where you're from and what led you to cosmetology.
I live on Camano Island, Washington State, and I have always wanted to do hair. I usually tell my clients, they say, "How long have you been doing hair?" And I say, "Since 3 years old, but legally since 2008." But yeah, everything I've ever done is hair, and I didn't realize that a lot of people don't know what they want to do when they grow up. And so I've had a different perspective going into everything that I've done. And yeah, so I did the backup plan. I went to college first because my mom said to, and I didn't think for myself at that point. And so I went to a 4-year university, did the dorms, did the sorority, cut everyone's hair in between. And I was just there for a year and thought, there's no way I can do this for 4 years. I can't wait that long. I need to do what I crave doing. And so I transferred to get my AA so I can put something down in writing. It was for business management, actually, and went to a community college. So I got a lot more hands-on education. It was wonderful for my personality, that's for sure. And I went to get business management, and the last quarter they said, "Hey, you have to actually take this course, and this one didn't transfer." And I said, "Well, I'll be walking in June, so let me know what it takes to do that." So so they said, take a couple art classes and then you can get your general arts. And the main instructor was also the counselor and knew what kind of student I was, and actually ended up giving me the business management certificate as well. So bonus. But yeah. I got my degree in the color wheel, so perfect intro.
Like, Mom, I'm doing it.
It's happening. It will be written down. So then I had no responsibilities, no boyfriend, no place to stay, no job, no nothing. And I thought, Heads Carolina, Tails California. I just thought those sound like fun places. Let's go. So my sister was going to college in California, and so I helped drive her down and thought, well, I'll look up some beauty schools. So I looked up I think I stopped at 18, somewhere drive by. It was all SoCal, but it was anywhere from Azusa, where she was, down to Orange County, and I think even one in San Diego. But ended at Coba Academy, which I don't think is a place any longer. But
oh, sad, huh?
I know. But they didn't IV me up to products. They didn't say this is your one way to cut a haircut. They just were family owned and let me do my thing. I mean, they taught me very basic things like beauty school does. And I think that's the difference between stylists that are passionate about what they do and stylists that are not, is you have to find your education for the extras. They didn't teach extensions or updos, so I thought, well, I want to specialize in those because that's what people aren't learning. So I was the queen of weave extensions in in beauty school, and then my first job out of beauty school was updos, bridal hair in Newport Beach, and it was a hot minute. I was new to the world, but yeah. So then I met my husband back in Washington, actually. We walked down the aisle at a wedding together, and he said, well, you're coming back now. I said, well, fine. So I came back, and I was really
yeah, you never really planned on staying in California though, right? Yeah.
Not really an Orange County person. I'm a little more Pacific Northwest. I remember bringing cookies to my neighbors in the apartment complex, and one person answered and they asked if I poisoned them, but
What?
they just didn't trust this like homely 21-year-old. So I just had, but it was just me down there. I literally drove down, found the school, got an apartment down the street, and stayed. So it was a great place to grow up. I mean, it was the town of Orange is a cute little town, and I had my beauty school people that I was with 40 hours a week, and just pumped it out, learned a lot, joined the best education. Was their abbreviations, forget what it is, beauty education something, but they had classes in Orange County and then in Hollywood area twice a month. And so I did that, and they brought in like a celebrity stylist and someone who specializes in that. So that was like another of I don't have responsibilities, let's just do it. I'm down here, this is time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I met you and you're like, I just came down to do this school, then I'm gonna go back. I'm like, what? Cool.
Why here?
Like you really like, you take everything head on and with full passion. Susan styled my hair for my graduation.
Oh yes, I was the lucky one.
I'll have to like put in like insert a little picture.
Yes.
It was cute. And then actually she lived with us for like 24 hours. Which she was so funny. She was moving out, and there was some sort of time lapse in like when you could leave and when your like pod was leaving or something. She's gonna sleep in a pod, like shipping container, essentially.
I did.
You did one night, and I was like, oh totally no. You're like, it's fine. My bed's there.
We even got pizza delivered to the pod. But yeah, it was, I just was growing up. It was, young life, and I can't thank you enough for the support. But you had boundaries, and I didn't have boundaries yet. I just thought, well, this is what happens, and you just do it.
Right, sleep in a pod, no big deal.
Yeah.
So funny. So when you moved back to Washington, what did you think your career was going to look like? Did you just try and find salons in the area? Did you want to stick with like bridal and styling, or how'd you branch out?
Good question. I actually had I had a mentor that was a stylist down at salon in Seattle, and all through high school I kind of like went to him randomly because it was an expensive haircut and I was in high school. But he was very, he's just as passionate as I was, and he was in the moment and in the industry and has been there for a little bit and had a good feel for, maybe start with this, not this. But he said that there was a new style bar opening in Seattle, and it was the first style bar in Washington. And I thought, well, I just did bridal updos and I love styling hair, and it's a new place so I can help them grow, and I just love what I do. And I remembered He kind of helped me get in for the interview, but I remember interviewing so cool and confident. And oh yeah, I just love doing hair and I'll do this for the rest of my life. And they were like, okay, how are you shampooing? I was like, I'll show you. Okay, Susan. So I was training on stuff and they said, I have to say, you were pretty confident for your interview. I mean, I was fresh out of beauty school. I haven't touched any heads except for, Grandma Lily and Betty Joe in school. So, yeah, it just, anyway, so I trained there and I was only there for a little bit at that time of life. It felt like a long time, but, started with them. They definitely were starting. And so I think the business part was done really well, but the hair part wasn't done well. There wasn't like a leadership in, we need clips so that we can clip things up. This vibrating flat iron is great, but it's just not what we need to curl people's hair. And so it was ran by businesswomen and they did a great job at the business, but hair wise, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work out long term. And I didn't want to lose all that education that I just got from beauty school on color and cuts and all that.
Right.
It didn't even have a pair of shears in there. It was white chairs. Someone asked for a bang trim because it didn't go with their style and it was flipping. And I literally used the scissors in the desk. I don't think I should have, but it just had to happen.
Yeah.
But then I remember probably every other client would say, oh, if you could just do this every morning, I just would love if you would just come to my house and do my hair. So I thought, well, if everyone's asking this, what's a version of doing this? And so I thought of making like a what a food truck is now, but like a salon truck, and like having my atmosphere. I'll have my tool space so I don't have to go in their bathroom. I'd have a coffee machine because in Washington, that's like why you see people in the morning. And yeah, so I thought, well, that'd be great. But then I thought, well, that's mornings and I'd have to live in Seattle and I was, 30 minutes out of Seattle, which would have been fine. And then who's my clientele and to get a truck. And there were too many questions that were early in my career. I thought, I'll save this for later. And it still might be a thing. So you never know. But
you never know. It's good to just kind of like have those and like take a beat to be like, wait a minute, is this a good idea? Because even if everybody wants mornings, well, you can only be so many places in the morning, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then I thought maybe I'll do like a neighborhood package. So if you refer someone in your neighborhood, you get a discount. But then what's realistic that people would pay? Anyways, all those idea factors. And I'm definitely an idea person and passionate. Yeah. Yesterday I have a friend who's an interior designer and she's helping us kind of figure out our layout. We bought an old bed and breakfast house and made it a wedding venue originally. I'm skipping ahead now from our styling place, but anyways, made it a wedding venue, worked great. And then we found out we're not zoned right, which just got lost in translation between the beginning steps. And then anyway, so we had to stop and thought, you know what, we have a 1 and 3-year-old, a house that's 5 acres, that's all maintained. I think it was 5 bedrooms, 5.5 bathrooms inside the house, so that maintenance alone, and full-time jobs. So we would cry and brush our teeth, and it was too much. And so it was a blessing in disguise, kind of a sweet and sour ending, having things working so well, putting all the money into things for the venue. But anyways, so we stopped it and said, let's just do what we're good at. I love doing hair. I'll always do hair. So even if we had this venue, I will still be doing hair and there's not enough time for that. So that was kind of like the beginning of my boundaries, basically, where I hit the bottom and thought, this isn't working, not this.
So were you still working in a salon? You had eventually found like a salon home where you're honing in on your cutting and styling and all of that
Correct. Yeah.
before you bought your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I guess to go back to the styling place, that worked for a little bit. Then I moved that was in the heart of Seattle. And then I moved just a little farther out and I went to Kirkland, which is close to Bellevue on the other side of Lake Union and, or Lake Washington. But anyways, I did an extension only salon. And so, what do you know, in beauty school, I thought, well, I want to specialize in these things that people don't teach you about. And those were my first few jobs. So, yeah, so I did the extension only salon and it was, $17 an hour. And I was raking. I was like, wow, this is so much money. And it's hourly. So I don't have to care about who's in my chair and who's not. And their system was hourly so that multiple people could work on each head.
Okay.
And so you'd have 2 or 3 people on each head so it would go faster because extensions can take a while.
Yeah.
But there were no breaks. And if you took a break, it was like, you can't break because we need you to do that section. And then we overbooked and we have this person here. And so I was kind of starting to question, like, again, not sustainable, like great. And they didn't even do colors when I started working there. They like just were creeping into it. So again, I wasn't using, what I've learned all this time and I don't want to lose it. So yeah, so then I crept a little bit farther out and I went out to Bothell, which is with no traffic, which never happens, is 30 minutes from Seattle. So yeah, so I went out there, found a salon that was fantastic to start. It was a commission-based salon. If you didn't make commission, it's our minimum wage. So there's always something. And I thought at the extension place, like, there's no way I could make this much money at a different place. And there's no way that someone will treat me this well, because she didn't, but she did like the parties and said like kind of the schmoozing part of like, I'll take care of you. Took us out to dinners, like made us feel special, but didn't focus on the parts that I think were most important, especially for employees to, get educated and grow. So anyway, so that, yeah, the commission salon was a full service salon and it worked in the level system. And they were very, it almost kind of felt like a sorority where you had your people. And because it was commission, we worked as like a team together to grow, and you crave reaching that goal. And that benefits the salon and it benefits you. They were really like translucent about like how much money that was coming into the salon. And so it helped us feel included and to be excited about it and to reach this goal, and it helped us and it helped them. So it was a perfect place to grow. They did all the marketing, they did all the back bar, they did all the orders, they did all the payroll, they did everything. So to start, I really just focused on hair. Whoever came in, they scheduled everything, and I just did what came in the chair. And that was the best way to start as a stylist, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think
so much when you have no idea who's coming in. And I find that like being in it for a long time, like when you have, close to a full clientele, you're not necessarily getting new clients all the time. It's like, okay, I remember this. Like, how do I do a consultation? How do I talk to a new person? Because you end up knowing every detail about your client and their life and how they like their hair. And but when you're first starting off, it's like you are on your toes all the time, like formulas and connecting with new people and
learning their lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, anyways, they did a lot of like ongoing education. They had a lot of like certifications that you could get, a lot of shows you could join in on. It was kind of like a goal. If you get to this goal, then you can join in this thing. So very, I mean, very motivating. It was wonderful. And again, I was like, there's no way I could make this much money anywhere else. But because they were so translucent, I really, I felt like, well, I have better ideas. I just feel like, why aren't you more personal with some of these scenarios? And why are you trying to make me double book people? Because my mind is slower than that. I need to focus on what I'm focusing on, and they will get much better quality rather than two foils, and that counts as a partial foil color, you know? So I felt like I just, everyone knows my secrets because I'm translucent. And
Yeah.
so if I don't do something, and I'm a perfectionist, in hair, I'm a recovering perfectionist in the world, especially after children. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so I just can't do that to people. I want their quality time. I want them to feel like their quality. And almost every time that I heard someone complain about, you know, a stylist, they said, well, I just feel like a number now. Like I never see them and they charge so much. And some people can rock that and it's worth it to them because they get the hair they want, you know. But for me, I've always been like 5-10 minutes behind because I care and I want to talk about them and I want to get that perfect foil where it just would make the world of a difference for them. And so yeah, so anyways, I moved to Camino, which is an hour no traffic, which again is not a thing anymore, but from Seattle. And I went to Marysville for a salon, which is kind of in between those two. Again, just kind of like creeping out. I've always loved small towns. I've always loved the countryside. I've always loved these things, which is, you can't like make money and not do mullets out in the countryside. And so I just I just thought there's no way I could do this. And so, you know, I was in Marysville and it was great. Again, like commission salon, grew well, but I was actually the first commission stylist. They rented previously to that. And so they still had people renting, but I was the first kind of shift into the commission world. And because I came from a salon that was like that, you know, I was able to say like, what do you think about transitioning something to this, you know? So I was a part of it. Like I was so included and it was just what I wanted. I don't like to be told what to do. Who does, you know? So it was the perfect mixture of all the things. And then it started to grow and there was mostly commission stylists and that was great. You know, again, kind of feeling more like a team, growing my skills, trying different things. Again, they would make the orders, they'd book the appointments, they'd market, they'd fill my books and I'd show up and do hair. And then the kids started school. This is kind of the part where it melds into this like life part. So the kids started school, well, one of them did, and people were no-showing and canceling, and I'd worked so hard, like every minute was so important to me. If I didn't have my 10 minutes of spare time, I was like so frustrated and irritated. Don't take my 10 minutes. That's all I have, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah, so I was just getting frustrated. And so I thought, you know, I don't know how I'm going to drop off and pick up my kid from preschool. It's a half-day thing. Like, how do people do this? I thought, well, since Camino's just far enough out, maybe I'll like just do some friends at the house. And I had a shampoo bowl because with the wedding venue, I like set it up thinking eventually, but I don't want, you know, brides having to dip their head in my shower. So, so I thought, no, I want to be more professional than that. I don't want to do kitchen hair. And thankfully we have this wraparound porch around our country home, and one side is enclosed, and it came that way because it was a bed and breakfast. So I think they used it as like a sunroom or breakfast little space or something. But yeah, so we put the shampoo bowl in there, and there's French doors to the deck, and there's French doors to the office, which I'm in now. And it's so perfect. It's all daylight, it's all windows, so I can see the true colors. Nighttime's another story, but you know, always got something.
Challenges, yeah. Every salon has a lighting issue one way or
Yes.
another. That's so interesting. So you basically, I mean, every salon you went to along your journey, you basically started over, yeah? As
Yeah.
far as building a clientele?
Yes. Yes. And the clientele didn't really come until I was commissioned, you know. So before that I was like, oh, you have to have a clientele to start? I don't know. But yeah, so it was probably like 20, 30 minutes each move out, for the most part. And so I had a couple people follow me. I still have people from the extension salon. I have
Wow.
one person from that. That was about 10, 11 years ago now. And yeah, so I've like kind of kept a couple people each route. You know, their lifestyles make a difference. But yeah, so then I started doing friends hair out of the salon, you know, my mom and pa style. Here's a dresser, here's my old chair I got from whatever, and here's a shampoo bowl. And so I ended up being like 2 to 3 weeks booked out on all my off time. Like my evenings, my weekends, people up here were like, could you just? And it was family and friends. And it was starting to become,
At other salon and at home? Oh.
so I was kind of using it as my, again, I didn't really have boundaries at that point, but I was kind of using it as my like, let's see if this works, you know, let's have a little better transition time if it works. So I got to the point of being, you know, there's too many things going on all my off time. I thought, well, it's time. I'm gonna jump.
And that was it. There was no like make or break moment or like single
Hmm.
instance that you felt like I gotta go, I'm putting in my notice.
You know, I think it just had to do with like my time is so sensitive, don't F with it.
Mm-hmm.
And my clients were not respecting my time. My there were some scenarios where the salon wasn't, but they were, I mean, a great support. I still do education with them. It's a wonderful contact. So I miss my people, you know, but I also love not having to deal with other people's drama when I come in. So there's benefits to both. I think I also felt through this time it had been, let's see, 2008 to 2017. Yeah, 2017 I started working from home. So through that time I got to go through all these places and learn my formulas and trust my, you know, placement, and learn different cuts, and so I felt confident enough that I could work from home without needing someone to formulate with me. And so I think that was another like, I can do this. I feel confident. I've had enough support. The second place, that Marysville place that I went to, was also a level system. And so it had the same like goals and growth, and you would track your things. So I've really like nailed down the system. You get your 4 R's: retail, rebook, you know, all these different things that are basically like line you up for success. And so it's now in my rhythm. It's in every conversation. It's how I finish a client, you know. But I did realize that once I worked from home and I was the front desk person, I really have had one no-show in these 3 years because they forgot. I've had maybe two last minute cancellations in the last year, kind of. I mean, there's COVID things too, which is another topic, but yeah, I just feel like they have to contact me, and so that communication is so much more thorough, and I know exactly what they're booking for. And I know that Mary has more hair. And I know that this haircut, she doesn't like a lot of styling. She just wants to scrunch and go. So that can kind of shift my timing and what I can squeeze in and what I can do before or after a shift. And again, that's where my boundaries were being pushed. So I started listening to this podcast, and it's called Mom is in Control by Heather Chauvin. And I've been listening to it for 3 years, and I am a completely new person. And I've had conversations with her lately, joined a couple of her, programs that she's done, but none of the big ones. But she is all about feeling alive and aligning your life to be sustainable so that you can enjoy it, because she went through stage 4 cancer and got her wake-up call, and unfortunately so many people have to wait for the wake-up call. But yeah, so I'm an empath. I am very empathetic, which is why I'm 5 to 10 minutes behind sometimes. But so they I really lived these stories that she told and these interviews that she had, and I was like, wait, I'm exhausted and I'm doing too many things and I don't enjoy. I have this beautiful property that I can sit on the porch, and I've got young kids that are at home. Like, why am I not enjoying this? Mm-hmm. I'm just like checking my list off. Okay, what's next? If they could just walk, if they could just buckle themselves, if they could just, and there's definitely benefits to those things.
Of course.
But yeah, so then I was, gaining my clientele, and my norm was to overbook and take whoever could come in. And I was exhausted, and I was crying, brushing my teeth again. And I hit this limit where, like, no, this is my life. I can do what I want to do. Yeah. I'm out of my house. There's no boss for this. It's my choice to do that.
I think that's so important to kind of recognize too, because, as like a solopreneur, you are the boss, you can do all the things, but do you need to do all the things? Should you be doing all the things? Yeah, I'm at home, and I think it's important for clients to understand that too. I mean, I own a salon, and people be like, oh, but you can come in like you're the owner. It's like, I have a life outside of this. Like, I love this. I'm passionate about it, but this is my job at the end of the day. This is my job. This is not like my life 1,000%, Yes. Tell me a little bit about kind of that juggle. I know, like, I mean, I work 30 minutes from home, but that's Orange County living. Like, everything is 30 minutes. How do you set up your schedule? I like wind down after the salon on my drive, but you literally just open the door and you're like in it, right? So how do you kind of manage that?
That's a great question, because I remembered going through that transition where, like, when a dog hears the treat jar, and they just come running, that's the kids with my salon door. And so I begged for a door on my office, and it didn't happen until like 2 months ago, and it's been 3 years. So I'm just not as handy in the wood department, but anyway, so I would just stay in there. I would bring my laptop in, and I turned the lock around, and I made time for myself. But I've asked my family for commute time.
Smart.
And by designating, my first client starts at 1, but I don't have a front desk person. So every 10 text messages and Instagram direct messages I have to respond to, and they're trying to get in today, and someone needs to cancel here. And so I use an online program that they can do these things. But the benefit of me doing it is I can fill my wait list into that gap, or I can put them in a spot that I know works, even if there's not a 15-minute little space that they need. I'm fine working 15 minutes after. I don't have to commute. but there's fine lines on that, you know, they can't fit
I'll
in.
too far, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's fine, I'll just do it this one time. But then the next three people ask the same thing, and when do you say no? So I've put my commute time in, and I write my schedule during that time. I play my music, so I kind of like get in the mood for working, not racing in from wiping a butt, you know.
Totally. Yeah.
And yeah, so it's just been there's so many things in the office that you really have to do when you do your own work. And everyone, all my clients kind of ask like, you know, what do you have to do in the office? And I'm like, well, write my numbers and formulas down. I have to write what we did today so I can remember. And I leave detailed notes because I use a color line that's like, you have to mix exactly what is in there. It doesn't just come in at one tube. And then, you know, today we tried highlights, and they came out fine, but her reaction was kind of questionable. So then I'll bring that up next time. And that detailed response in the follow-up is personal.
Yeah.
And people crave that personal connection, and it's a one-on-one experience. There's no, it's a quiet little box with flowers on the outside and daylight coming in. It is the most relaxing space in, and they process alone. There's nothing in there. And there's an Alexa that I can say, turn off if you don't want to listen to this music. Like, you know her name, it's fine. So it's morphed, and you know, putting advertising, social media is legit a full-time job if you want to do it to the expectations of social media.
Yeah, absolutely.
So even just being able to respond at that point and have content and edit the content and tag everything we need to tag, and why am I doing social media? I think those are kind of, that's the step that I'm at now. Like, why am I doing this thing? What is my purpose? You know, what does it bring me? And right now my social media is to gain my ideal clientele. I have a clientele, I'm very full. I don't work enough days for the clients that want to come in, and that's how many days I'll be working because I'm happy and my kids are happy and no one's yelling. So I'm gonna go with that schedule.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I oh, I don't know.
That's great. Are you still working? Do you work Saturdays, or what's like a week look like for you?
I base it around the kids' school. Thankfully, in the Marysville salon, I was doing the wedding venue. In the wedding venue, you need Friday, Saturday, Sunday to do the venue. And so I was able to take off Saturdays at that point. And it was fine because my Saturday clientele was always people that canceled. They got a last minute trip, and it was sunny today and I don't want to do it. And again, I wasn't the front desk person, and so I just didn't have a great Saturday clientele. And if I did, it was a great clientele, but they still had those things that came up and were constantly canceling, and my time is sensitive. Don't F with it. So, and that's why I respect other people's time, sometimes other than my 5-10 minutes, but that's catch upable.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the, yeah, so I just feel like it's morphed from this extreme, basically just having other people tell you what to do. I've now created, okay, the kids go to school on these days. They have late start Wednesdays. They always will have late start Wednesdays. I could start late, but that's a great day to regroup. Mondays are the beginning of the week, and you know, weekends we do stuff. So I feel like Mondays is kind of my like mom household day. Like, go to the grocery store, write out what we're eating for the week, lay out the appointments and make sure we have care for the week. You know, things are changing and morphing. what day do we want to play with people, because we basically have 2 days a week and then the weekend. So I work Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and I work from noon until 7 or 8 behind a chair on basically all of them. Yeah, so it's really not that much, but I'm always booking before and I'm always booking after. And if I'm not, then I use it for my office time. But declaring that office time is so important.
Absolutely.
And when you're behind, it shows in your salon. You know, you're racing and you don't have your things prepared and you don't have enough foils, and so you're using something else, or it's just, you know, I have to make the orders. I have to put the orders away. I have to price them and make sure the price is the same it was last time from my inventory system. And, you know, I've got someone who wants a copper color right now, and I realized I don't have a permanent copper color supply. I have a demi-permanent that's beautiful, but it doesn't last as long, and her hair fades a lot. So it's that kind of stuff. Now I'm looking into color lines, and I have some old extensions that I kind of save and play with, and I do these test strips, and sometimes I'm really motivated even after a 8 to 12 hour workday, and the 8 to 12 hours isn't even office sometimes. So it's impossible unless you set those boundaries, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so important though to like decide like how well you work, when you work. Like some people don't want to work evenings, you know, you're working into the night, which yeah, you just kind of have to find like the flow that works for you and the support system around you. So tell me a little bit about like talking to like your husband and your family about helping with the kids, what that's going to look like, why you need the times. Because I feel like we are entrepreneurs, and sometimes outside of the industry, people think we just do hair, right? And it's not like a proper business. Like I'm literally the CEO, I'm the stylist, I'm the boss, I'm the employee, I'm the freaking janitor, bookkeeper, you know, like all of the things. So yeah, having a support system, especially when you have kids, is so huge. So how did you kind of like rally everybody? I mean, you're passionate, you know, everyone supports you, but what did that kind of conversation look like? Like, look, you have to make dinner 3 days a week.
Yeah. Thankfully I worked at salons before working at home, and so we were used to like, you know, you do this version, I do this version. We still we figured out a rhythm for the most part, but I'm exhausted doing it, so we can change things up. But basically I cook on Monday, which is my day off. We have leftovers Tuesday, which is easy access. I cook on Wednesday, and on Thursday's leftovers, and Friday is pizza or eat out. And by the weekend we can regroup. So that kind of gives that ease of the evening. But it also is a huge benefit. I've always thought that being perfectly busy is the best way to parent, because if you have too much time, the kids don't figure it out. They expect you to be there, you know, they expect you to do this and that, and there's almost no leeway. Not all the time, but usually. So I feel like that perfectly busy says, I'm not here tonight, Dad is. And so because of that, I've been able to have a girls' night out, or someone wants to, you know, I have a class or something like that, or I go on a work trip, and it's not foreign to the kids. It's not a crazy stressful thing for them. It's not stressful for me. You know, they've got their routine. We do it very differently. There's a lot of energetic tickle fighting when I'm not helping them go to bed, and I'm more quiet and calm and go to sleep. But they always comment on their favorite thing with Daddy is tickle fights at night. So there's benefits to both, you know. I think the hardest part of working out of the house is, thankfully I have a door to my detached area, but hearing those hard nights, I just want to go help,
Right.
So I think being perfectly detached is helpful, not interrupting because that's micromanaging, and then dad doesn't want to do it and the hands go up and then it's on you again and you can't do it all. So yeah, I think that perfect amount of separation is, and perfect amount of busyness is
Mhm.
really important to parent, and letting some of it go.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, because, I was working nights. I've been cutting back my Saturdays, which now I work 0 Saturdays. But
Yay.
for pre-COVID,
Oh, right.
yeah, pre-COVID, it was like very intentional. Like, okay, I'm gonna start cutting back Saturdays because I want to spend time with the kids. But when they were littler, even when it was just Vivi, it was hard to kind of let go of the control of like, this is how I parent. But my husband parents his own way. And I think for your partner, whatever that relationship looks like, it's good that they have their own relationship with the child, and they put them to bed differently, and they feed them differently, and they have that day. Like, the kids have probably more fun with Phil a little bit. They know they're gonna get more candy. They know they're gonna like be more rowdy. He's very hands-on, whereas I kind of let them like do their own thing. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's good that like I can say like, I'm going to work. I just had this conversation with my daughter the other day. She was like just having she's 4, she's just having like an emotional day, and we were kind of talking through. She's like, I don't want you to leave me. I'm like, leave you? What do you mean? She's like, like when you go to work and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I always come back, and here's what I get to do. Like, I love my job. I love taking care of people. I get to do this. I get to do that. It gives me money. Money buys us things for this, and it's neat to have that conversation with them. And I like that they can see me in that light, and that I'm not just solely here to like feed them and bathe them and wipe their asses and
Yes. Yes, definitely. And I think it's, the best. It's so hard to remember because it's just not instinct. It's not the easy route, I guess. But you're there to support them. You're not there to show them exactly how to do everything. You're there to be next to them, not in front or behind. And I think that support is so key. And by doing my own thing and having them have their own thing, they see that like, mommy needs to work out in the morning or read, because I'll bite you if I don't. Not really, but they just like, I'm declaring like, this is my me time. This makes me really happy. I'm sorry. I need to do this. And then when I'm done with this, I would love to play trains with you or whatever. And so even, when it comes to work, like, hey, I want to play with you too. I'd love to play, but we need money to live in this house. We need money to play with our friends sometimes. We need money to, have that toy that you're playing with today, or that school book that you'll need this fall. And so they're, they understand it. Money is still, we do little chores and whatnot. It's funny, that doesn't mean too much to them, but still it's that conversation of like, well, I'm really happy when I do this thing, but when I'm done, I'd love to do things with you that make you happy too. So
right, like I can have both things make me happy, and
yeah,
like a lot of things make you happy.
yes. And just that realization that you don't have to hustle to have great, happy life. I
Yeah.
mean, how is hustling great and happy? How is like bragging that I've, woke up at 5 a.m., worked a 12-hour day, and then went out to this social thing after, and then, all these things happened.
Yeah.
What do you want, a pat on the back? Do you get cookies for that? Like, it doesn't make you feel better. I mean, yes, you were very accomplished, but that's not what successful means. I feel like successful is happiness. And once you feel that joy and that happiness and that passion of what you do, it's so wonderful. And it's a whole nother side that I just didn't even think was possible. And you can create it. You set the time aside and you say, this is important to me. It's on my calendar for Monday at, 7 a.m. I'll be doing it until 8. And now it kind of fills your cup and it gives you that smile for the rest of the day. And that smile affects how you react to your kids when they say, I don't want this for lunch. And it affects how you answer the phone call when you have to talk to insurance. And, it changes every step of the day if your cup is full. So again, it's actually a little system from that Mom is in Control podcast. It's called the Energy Time Management. And it's literally, you brain dump everything you need that week onto a piece of paper. You put them in categories of self, kids, money, work, relationships, other environment, like your surroundings and stuff. And you list everything out. Just get it out. I have to trim back the weeds this week. People are coming by, whatever it is. And then you put them in order and you say, okay, self is first, kids is second. And then you put them in order of that week. Sometimes, money is more important. Sometimes your environment means the world to you because it's Shark Week and you just want to snuggle. And then sometimes, anyway, so you put them in order and then you write out what that task's timeline is. How long does it take to exercise and shower and eat your breakfast? Because if you don't put breakfast on there, you won't have time for breakfast. And so you're going to be cranky. And so this is kind of my type A personality, but even just seeing this visual schedule through the day. So I do this every Sunday, if not Monday morning. But then you literally put it on the calendar. So I list out all the appointments for the week that aren't changing timelines. I list out my work schedule because that's when people are scheduled from 3 months ago to come in. And then you add, okay, first was self. So under my self list, I have exercise, food prep, and drink water. Those are important to me this week. So I will be drinking water at, this time after I exercise. And now it really sounds so tedious and silly, but by seeing it and checking it off throughout the day, by knowing that you're going to deal with your bank on Thursday at noon, I'm not overwhelmed with this list of stuff. Yeah. I know it's coming on Thursday. I don't have to think about it today,
I love that so much because I know for me, I'll find myself feeling overwhelmed by, quote, all the things. But when I do take 5 minutes to write all the things down, I'm like, oh, that's it. That's not that bad. Okay, now look at my schedule. Oh, I can do that on that day. I can do that on that day. Why was I freaking out, But yeah, I think we get in whether you have kids or not, we all have some sort of social life outside of work. And if we don't get it, but even if it is all work, it's important to kind of prioritize, all the different things because it can be absolutely overwhelming and it doesn't have to be.
And
that's
what else is
my younger self, I think, is like, you don't have to do all the things and just find like what's really the most important to you, because everything important is different.
Yeah, exactly. And the other key factor in that kind of exercise is you write down for your week, not your whole life, not your New Year's resolution, not this grand timeline, but just for your week. How do you want to feel that week? Because how you feel is how you present and choose what matters and which decision you make. So like this week, I wanted to feel calm and loving because it's our anniversary and I don't want to be busy. So by remembering those 2 key descriptive words, now if I'm choosing to, make this really extravagant dinner versus have some chicken nuggets and a salad, I'm going to feel calm doing the chicken nuggets and salad probably. So, if I've food prepped, then I'll have better options,
Sure.
and I won't have to think those things. I'll be calm already. But those core desired feelings are really what bring you joy and help guide you on each decision you make through the day, through the week, through the year, all that stuff. So
I love that so much. It made me think you've done something interesting since coming back, opening the salon again after COVID, is really encouraged your clients to talk less. And I think that's kind of unique. I haven't really seen that with a lot of people. I feel like that a lot. We're not used to wearing masks all day, and neither are our clients. But I think with everything going on, it's given people like a lot of pause, and a lot of reflective time. So talk about telling them or encouraging them to have a little more quiet time for
yeah,
them and for you as well.
yeah, yeah. Talking through a mask while blow drying for 8 hours at a time gives me COVID symptoms. Like I've got a sore, dry throat. Like it doesn't work. You're physically exhausted talking through a mask. So even just for my health, it's kind of a requirement. The other part that kind of sparked that being a focus is my mother got breast cancer, and she was kind of our source, of care. Do you hire someone that's younger and you don't know, and the younger people are kind of going out anyways? And um, do we have mom watch the kids? Even if I'm doing hair, she has to be okay with that. She's done with all her treatment. She's cancer free, which is really exciting, but it still is that weak immune system that's like not worth it.
Yeah.
So if this virus, from what our knowledge is now of the virus, it's transmitted through this.
Right. Yeah.
And so, having a mask is very helpful. Double booking would be helpful, not being around people wise, but like speaking wise, you're a little more like in the mode of go, go, go. I'm cutting your hair. I'm focusing on cutting your hair. Okay, we're done. The one-on-one in a comfortable, homely box is really hard to cut that down, because I'm that perfect third party person.
People
I'm
want
that
to share.
person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. There's half my clients haven't been out except for their hair appointment at a grocery store. Half my clients are out all the time, and I pray they're the ones that do it safe. And if they're not, then I say I can't do it. I've had one client actually that I fired because it was all the no's, and it wasn't an ideal clientele, and it wasn't worth the risk. It wasn't worth the time, and it was hard to do, but I felt really confident because it's not worth COVID. And if my household gets it, first of all, that's my reputation, because, it's kind of like Jack in the Box got whatever it was many years ago, and you just remember it, you know that they were the ones that weren't that healthy about something. And so I kind of dread that because it's just me. But I also, like, if the kids get it, say through a school thing or through me or whatever, now we're waiting for the whole house to go through it until I can start work again. And at what point do you start work again? And it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So I've written a little note on my mirror that says, please help me limit conversation. And the psychology part of me says, please help me, because I want them to be a part of what we're doing rather than telling them what to do. Sit down, shut up, let me wash your hair. But I also educated myself so much during the shutdown in Washington, which was about 3 months. And every hairstylist was off. How do you not get free education through Instagram, through classes that people are bringing up? Like, how do you not do this stuff? And so I was kind of overwhelmed and excited to use all my new tools. And I was playing on a doll head, and it was fine, but just not consistent enough. And So I was excited to do it, but I had to like think. I can't talk about your political thoughts right now because I really want to cut this for your head shape so you don't have to come back.
I just learned this technique. Shut up. Let me try it out.
So, you know, I would kind of remind them as in like, hang on, I can't focus just 1 second. And that's kind of a good reminder for them. I'm like, I'm still here to be your person, but I want to be your hair person. You don't come in every day, every week. It's once every month or 2 months or 3 months, even 4, because I like to make hair look really natural and easy maintenance. So let's talk hair. You know, this is your time. This is, if you have any questions, please ask me hair questions. But I do have to say, if I were to not be doing hair, which will never happen unless I can't physically do it, I would honestly question being a therapist. I love psychology. I love different people's perspectives. I love their stories and reactions, and I feel like my empath part of me digests into how they took that and like, okay, that's fine. I'll relate to you that way, you know? So I would say it's very difficult for me as well as my guests to be quiet during this time. But when you're blow drying and you can't read my lips, it's so hard to have a conversation. And so before we blow dry, I say, I just want to let you know, I can't read your lips like we used to. We're just going to have a little quiet time. Or when we go back to the shampoo bowl, we have to cover the eyes with a towel. So they lay back with their mask on and I have to cover their eyes, which I used a very large towel in the beginning and everyone was like, I can't read.
Yeah.
So, which is maybe a hot sentence right now, but then, so I got these little cute little towels and I make sure to wash them with like a lavender soap and, you know, and then I just put them on their eyes and they just love it. They like wake up completely renewed and I say, listen, we're just going to have a little nap time. Like it's a perfect time to just sit, just enjoy it. I know it can be awkward sometimes, but just let's feel this head rub today. You need it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for doing this and sharing your story and so many amazing tips. Where can people find you and the salon on social media?
Yeah, my salon is called Juniper Hill Salon. I'm on Instagram and Facebook under Juniper Hill Salon. Hill is in Hill. Some people think it's hair salon. It's not. Yeah, I'm on Style Seat, which is where I book. You can see my services, some before and afters on there. You can always book online there. Hint, hint to all my clients who text me, look there first. Yeah, I'm in Washington on Camino Island and I just live for it. I love what I do. It gets in my way sometimes.
Well, thank you again so much. And thanks to everyone for listening or watching. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Emily. You're great. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you liked it, and I know you did, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review. I love hearing from other stylists, so take a screenshot of the episode and tag me in it at Mindful Hair by Emily. If you have a story to share and would like to be on a future episode, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you guys next Monday with more Stories with Stylists.